South Africans were plunged into the First World War in August 1914. This is their story. By the outbreak of war, the Union of South Africa as one country was only 4 years old. Social divisions ran deep. 14%, the white population, controlled the majority. The rest, mainly black African, were discounted unless wanted for labor. Despite being part of the controlling minority, white Afrikaners too felt suppressed, having suffered a bitter defeat against the British only 12 years before. Independence and natural resources had been at stake: gold, diamonds. The Afrikaners of Dutch, German and French settler stock believed the land theirs after 400 years of settlement. So too did the black population. The Union of South Africa was part of the British Empire and as such had little choice but to support the British war effort. But white Afrikaners, feeling closer to Germany, questioned why they should fight against neighboring German Southwest Africa. Their rebellion was quickly crushed. The black elite felt torn, their allegiance to King George, not the Union. Social divisions, a fragile peace between communities. Would war help the healing process?
Our enemy, they say, is the German man, fighting to occupy others' land.
Our friend, they say, is the British man. Neither offers a conciliatory hand.
Friend or foe, their quarrel is with each other. A rebellion that happens around us.
The outbreak of war across the globe sparks fresh hostility in our home.
Different nations fighting over land that was once our own.
Who have laid claim to Africa piece by piece.
Who along the way have shown no care for those they displace.
Leaving their scars on the land.
And grief etched on the face of all who stand in their way.
1914.
The whispers of war are everywhere.
But why should we fight?
Who will be our friend
when daybreak emerges from the night? Mass movement and forced relocation was a fact of life in South Africa. The 1913 Land Act forced the black population into reserves. Only 1 year later, war demanded their services on farms and in towns to meet the growing needs of the war economy. Rapid mass migration coupled with segregationist practices saw informal settlements spring up, a legacy of those years even today. Some chose to enlist and serve away from home. Military process mirrored compound life, control of all, enforced with military precision.
German Southwest Africa war begins.
A land grab long desired, far from the European front lines.
Paid for by treasure looted from South Africa's mines.
Gold, diamonds, the riches of the land.
The source of the nation's previous unrest.
The commodity used to pay for the European war that comes next.
Thousands toil
to free spoils that pay for the weapons in the hands of those who fight far afield.
Each with their life on the line.
Whether in trench, field, factory or mine.
For the war was not won solely by those who fought,
but by the toil of labourers whose spoils bought
the resources needed by an army that is vast.
In a war that rages across borders.
A war that could cast
shadow across the world.
Its shadows
across the world. This is war. But why do we fight?
Who will be our friend
when daybreak emerges from the night?
The economy changes. Although gold remains the bedrock, diamond miners relocate to gold mines to help supply 60% of the world's gold, bought by Britain for a fixed price to fund the war and maintain financial stability. Shifts in labor happen, expanding agriculture and the manufacture of war produce, all contributing to the Union becoming self-sufficient. More women move into paid employment. By 1917, black and white are equally represented in the labor market, yet salaries are far from equitable. Better conditions and pay are demanded. Standing together has benefits. Strikes are common.
At home, the railroads, ports and harbours of South Africa manage the flow of men, money, supplies and munitions that travel the globe.
For war is not won solely by those who fight,
but by the toil of those who provide safe passage.
Those who guide ships and supplies across sea and land.
Those who put food, guns, uniforms in the hands of those who fight.
a war that many would never choose.
But give their lives so that their occupiers would not lose.
Liberty and freedom that is not shared.
That is not
That
shared.
is not shared.
That is not
That is
shared.
not shared.
At sea, the war takes its toll.
SS Mendy, the country's biggest single loss.
More than 600 souls of men from across South Africa's territories,
Labour Corps, far from home.
Heading to the fields of France.
struck by another ship.
Not enemy attack.
But the hand of chance.
In foggy conditions.
Shortly before sunrise,
Other people too were lost at sea.
attacked by torpedoes that skim the surface before the impact.
Killing countless more soldiers. Denied remembrance.
Because
They are black. This is war.
But
But
why,
why
do
do
we
we
fight?
fight?
Who will be our friend?
When daybreak emerges from the night.
The military ports of Cape Town, Durban and Simonstown are a hive of activity, loading food, ammunition and coal for fuel, offloading troops en route to various locations for rest and recovery. Durban Harbour is expanded for bigger and bigger ships. New railway lines are laid across the country to satisfy increased transport demands. Industrial labour increases by the thousands, creating accommodation in and around emerging industrial sites, Jacobs Camp, Kongela, Leesbeek. All this labour is not recognised as military action. It is not counted in the official number of South African troops, yet all supported the British war effort.
Far from home, on land not their own, troops witness bloody battles and theatres of war.
In the Battle of Square Hill, Palestine, the Cape Corps see active service.
Lives lost and casualties incurred.
As shots are fired by South Africa's men,
Bathe in blood of conflict once again.
Now shoulder to shoulder with those they fought, just a few short years gone.
In Europe, white troops fought too, at Delville Wood.
Black men, though, were told they never shoot their arms against their enemy
Labour was the task given those men who would never fight.
because they were black.
And their enemy was white.
normal lines drawn in battle are bled for a country that struggles to unite.
More division is created by segregating those who should and should not fight.
This is war.
But why do we fight?
Who will be our friend when daybreak emerges from the night? % of South Africa's population served in recognized military capacities.
250,000 men of all population groups, and 500 white women nurses. They served on land as soldiers, laborers, drivers, in medical and veterinary capacities, at sea in merchant ships and the British Navy, and in the air as pilots and mechanics. 11,589 men and women died while serving in the First World War, officially commemorated by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission on headstones or memorials and online. An untold number, men and women of all races, supported on the home front, behind the scenes. Those who returned from the front lines were scarred for life by the horror of their experience, victor and vanquished.
"1918. The guns fall silent.
South Africa is on the winning side.
But celebration quickly subsides, giving way to a slide into dark times.
Where segregation becomes the norm.
After a Second World War, order in the country takes the form in 1948 of apartheid.
Who carries the rays of light?
How could friendship become the future?
When could daybreak emerge from the night?
Many South Africans had put their life on the line for union and empire, hoping that this would foster respect and equality for good. They were disappointed. Racism, violence, and segregation became hallmarks of the decades to follow. After the National Party came to power in 1948, it established ruthless apartheid. For almost 50 years, the system persisted, and although apartheid has now come to an end, inequalities remain.
Today, the country is still at the dawn.
Shafts of light pierce the dark, but shadows remain, the reality stark.
Amongst turmoil, though, must remain a place for peace, where there is no more to say. Sometimes silence must play its part.
From Cape Town's Signal Hill, we take our cue to stand in silence the world over.
Each to remember what they lost in war.
2 minutes silence is observed.
A nation,
For a moment,
Is allowed a chance to heal.
Woyo, 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 yo, yo, woyo, woyo, yo, yo, woyo, yo, yo, woyo, yo, woyo, yo, woyo, yo, yo. Woah yo yo, woah yeah yo, woah yeah yo, woah yeah, woah yeah, woah yeah yo, woah yeah, woah yeah, woah yeah yo, woah yo 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 yo, woah yo yo yo, woah yo 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 yo, woah yo 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 woah yo yo, woah yeah, woah yeah, woah yeah yo, woah yo 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 yo, woah yo yo yo. Whoa yo yo, whoa yo yo, whoa yo yo yo, whoa yo, whoa yo, whoa yo 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 yo.
we cannot change the past, but we can remember together and shape the future together. Their story is our story.